Okay, so let's prep and set up to go to a different direction. We've worked with rooms for quite a while now. Let's do something where we want to count something on the building, or look at perhaps putting together a schedule that might total some other things on the building. Um, let's go to this under 3D views under here. If you look, there's a main 3D view. Okay, and in this main 3D view, you can turn the shadows on and off. You'll see different things, but you'll see this is kind of a curtain wall. And there's these curtain panels of different sizes, and we have glazed panels and we have solid panels. What if we wanted to put together a schedule that kind of calculated those? That might be helpful, right? Well, let's see. We'll go back to this room schedule for whatever reason, and we can close out that room style schedule, but we can go up here. If we go to view, we can go to schedules and say schedule and quantities. And if you look in here, look, we can go down here, and is there a schedule we could use in this instance? Let's see if we can find something that would be helpful to us. All right, did you see anything under, oh, maybe not, it's under panels, maybe up, look at that, curtain panels, okay? So we're gonna count the panels and we can say curtain, we can change the name curtain to curtain panel schedule. And we don't want to click on keys this time, we want to schedule building components because that's what these are. And when we click OK, maybe there's some things we want to see or know about this particular panel that might be helpful. How about one of the things we could add would be family and type. That would be very helpful because we know we have solid, we have glazed, and we have some empty panel systems as well. Other things that might be helpful, how about the count? That would be good. Maybe the height. Is height in here? Let's see. Yeah, there's height. Let's add the height. And if we had the height, we certainly would want the width, and we probably want those next to each other. And then how about the area? Height times width, right? And then a nice one would be the cost as well, because we don't know how much these things are going to cost us, right? And so once we do that, we hit OK. And now we've got the schedule, and look at this thing. It is massive. If you look at it, it just goes from top to bottom, right? And that's true because if you look around our building, I'll get into the regular 3D view and we zoom in, we've got a lot of curtain panels in here, right? We've got an awful lot of curtain panels. We have an awful lot of solid ones uh, and an awful lot of glazed ones. So you see these solid ones, they're right around the floor. And obviously they're doing what? If we look at the main 3D view, these solid panels or the spandrel panels are kind of hiding what's in the ceiling. So we want to know what the difference is between these things. We want to be able to see that. And this curtain panel schedule is going to help us to figure that out. Now may want to make a few of these things larger, and we may come back to the top. And it's going to be helpful for us in this instance to use a formula. And we're going to use a formula at some point in the next video or so to do that. But we want to set ourselves up first. So there may be some things we want to see. Maybe we want to start filtering things. Let's go into the filter option. And maybe if we say we want to filter this and say, how about by height, right? And height has a value, right? Height has a value. And before I click that, what that's going to do, if we go down here, we're going to see where we have empty system panels, where we've taken things out. If I click on there and say highlight and model, right? And I say show, it's kind of trying to show me where that panel is. And look at that. Right back there, say it's an empty system panel, and what if it doesn't really have a height and a width? Well, I don't want that to show up in my schedule, right? So if I go back to my curtain panel schedule and I say I want to get rid of that empty system panel there, and is there another one? Yeah, there's a few empty system panels. And you see how they don't have a value in there, and I don't want those in this schedule. So I can filter something out. I can go in here to filter, and I can say filter by height, and I can say equals. I want it to has a value, and if I do that and say OK, now those empty system panels are gone all from my schedule, right? And that's very helpful, very, very helpful. So now I've gotten rid of that portion. Now maybe we can do a little sorting and grouping. So let's go to sorting and grouping. And under sorting and grouping, I can say, let's sort by family and type, right? We'll get the ones that are supposed to be together in ascending order. And I'm going to say maybe I want a header in this instance and maybe a footer too. Yeah. And in the footer, I can say, yeah, give me title, count, and totals. And let's put a blank line in there to get some spacing in there as well. And then after family and type, I can say, what would be a good thing to sort by now? How about the area? Yeah, let's sort by the area and let's make that's ascending. That makes sense as well. And then what I want to do is I'm going to say okay. And once I say okay, now it's broken out. Now I see something jumped up here by itself, that revolving door in the front. What do I mean, that revolving door? If you look, right in that, there's that revolving door there. And we probably don't want to include that in our panel schedule because that's a separate purchase. A revolving door is pretty expensive too. Average revolving doors, the nice ones, are anywhere between $7 and, in some instances, $20,000, depending on the features of them. And that's a discussion for another day. So we'll probably do something with that in a minute, kind of to move it out of the schedule. And then you have to see now that I've gone in, I've got all these different counts, and look at the counts of each one of these. And you see you have these different sizes. It's using them. I'm going all the way down my list, and it just seems like even though I've sorted them by family and type, you see how all these are glazed, and then all of these are solid, right? Those are the basic two. There's 153 of those, and there's 189 of the glaze. I probably want to separate it a little more and take some other things out, right? Well, how would I do that? Let's go back in here to sorting and grouping. And notice it says itemize every instance. I don't want to itemize every instance. That's why I have so many in the schedule right now. So I'm going to uncheck that. And I'm going to say, let's look at grand totals. And under grand totals, we'll check, let's see, we'll check grand totals, and we'll use the title count and totals. That's okay. And now, look at that. It kind of consolidated them just a little more for us. And that was very helpful because now we know the area of these things, the height, the width, the count, and now these are broken out for us, right? But what if we wanted to start breaking in and looking at some of the cost of some of these things? Well, that can be pretty important for us to be able to calculate the cost in here. So let's go back into let's go into our formatting area. If I go into formatting area, and I say, let's look at the area formatting. And under the area formatting, I can say, how about calculate totals? Maybe that'll be helpful, right? And then if I go into the field format, I can say uncheck the project settings and I can say, let's use the units of square feet and let's round to, let's see, let's 2 decimal places is pretty good. And the unit symbol, I can use feet squared or square feet. It really doesn't matter. I kind of like the feet squared a little bit better. So I'm going to click on that. And I think that'll do good for right now. And once I hit OK and click on that, look what it changed my values to. It's got the square foot values. And that's very helpful. And it shows me what these actually are. And that's going to be very helpful to my curtain wall manufacturer because the curtain wall manufacturer is typically the person that designs these things and puts them together. So if I can give him something detailed like this saves him a lot of work, and in turn it makes my his job a little easier and my job a little easier as well. Okay, so then maybe the next thing we'd want to do in this one, maybe we'd want to get in and let's filter the cost. How about that? Let's go into the filter. Let's go into filter right here, and let's say let's filter by. Um, you know what? Before we do that, we want to assign some cost, okay, to these different panels. Before we make that, let's not make that mistake. Let's come in here and we say maybe our glazed panels per square foot are maybe uh I don't know, $80, right? Right? $80. And I'll say, okay, and now those are all $80. And then for my solid panels, I'll say the solid panels are a little cheaper. They're maybe 50 or how about $60. Use a nice round number, right? And once I do that, I say, okay, and now that cost is filtered in there. But I still have the problem of this revolving door. I don't want this to show up here. So how can I make that not show up there? Well, now if I go to the filter and I say, how about after we filter by height has a value, how about if we filter by cost and says cost has a value, right? And once I do that, boom, that goes away. So that looks a lot better now, doesn't it? All right, so we'll come back in the next video and maybe we'll look at a couple, just maybe one more option about calculating the area and making this a little more accurate. And we'll take a look at that in the very next video.